if you want your first animal to help feed your family on 1 acre. Chickens are probably the right answer. But buying chickens first is often the wrong first step. That sounds strange, because chickens are the animal almost everyone tells beginners to start with. They give eggs. They are small. They are easy to understand. They fit in a backyard. And compared to goats, pigs, cows, or sheep, they feel safe. But this is where many beginners get trapped. They buy the birds first. Then they try to figure out the co-op. Then the feed. Then the water. Then the smell. Then the mud. Then the manure. Then the predator problem. And by the time the first eggs arrive, those chickens already feel like more work than they expected. The chickens were not the mistake. The order was. You do not need a perfect homestead before you start. You do not need a beautiful barn, a finished garden, or a complicated layout, but you do need the basics in place. Your first flock needs a safe place to sleep, clean water to drink, dry bedding under their feet, and a simple plan for the manure they create. Because chickens can be the best first animal on a 1 acre homestead. But only if you treat them as part of the homestead, not just something you buy because the chicks looked cute at the feed store. A lot of beginners start with chickens because chickens feel simple. You can buy chicks at a feed store. You can order a small co-op online. You can watch a few videos and feel like you understand the basics. And in many ways, that is true. Chickens are easier to start than dairy goats. They are less intimidating than pigs. They are quieter than ducks in many setups. They do not need a pasture the size of a field. That is why chickens are usually the right first animal for a small homestead. But easy does not mean effortless. A chicken eats every day. A chicken drinks every day. A chicken poops every day. A chicken needs protection every night. If you bring birds onto your land without thinking about those things, you did not start a food plan. You started a daily chore. Most people imagine the eggs first. They imagine walking outside in the morning, opening the nest box, and finding fresh eggs for breakfast. And that part is real. It is one of the best feelings on a small homestead. But before the eggs, there is bedding. Before the eggs, there is feed storage. Before the eggs, there is predator protection. Before the eggs, there is rain, mud, flies, spilled water, and manure that has to go somewhere. That is not meant to scare you. It is meant to give you the right sequence. When chickens are managed well, they do more than lay eggs. They teach the rhythm of animal care. They turn safe kitchen scraps into value. They create manure for compost. They help with insects. They connect the house, the garden, and the soil. When chickens are managed poorly, they teach a different lesson. They show you how fast feed disappears, how quickly a wet run starts to smell, how easily raccoons find weak spots, how fast a flock can destroy a garden bed if you let them loose at the wrong time. So the question is not only, are chickens good for beginners? The better question is, are chickens the best first animal if you prepare the basics before the birds arrive? For many people with 1 acre, the answer is yes. The first reason chickens make sense is simple. They give food regularly. A goat may give milk, but only after breeding, kidding, milking routines, and a much bigger commitment. Rabbits can provide meat, but they require breeding decisions and processing decisions that some families are not ready for on day one. Fish systems can work, but water quality and equipment can overwhelm a new homesteader fast. Chickens are different. A laying hen gives you a daily food signal. Not once a year, not only after a harvest, not only after processing day. Eggs show up again and again, and that matters for a beginner. Fresh eggs do not feed a family completely. They will not replace the grocery store by themselves. But they do give a family dependable protein and fat from a very small space. They make breakfast easier. They help with baking. They stretch meals. They give children something real to collect and understand. That daily reward is powerful. It helps a beginner stay motivated. But this is also where the first misunderstanding starts. Eggs are not automatically cheap just because they came from your backyard. If every egg begins with another trip to the feed store, and if half the feed gets wasted on the ground, those eggs can become more expensive than people expect. That does not mean chickens are a bad choice. It means the feed plan matters from the beginning. A basic flock still needs a proper feed base. Chickens cannot live on hope, grass, and a few lettuce leaves. They need protein, energy, minerals, calcium, and clean water. But a small homestead can support them with safe kitchen scraps, garden waste, weeds, bugs, compost activity, and seasonal feed crops. The goal is not zero feed. The goal is less waste, better support, and a flock that fits the land. This is why starting small matters. 4 to 6 laying hens can give many families enough eggs to feel real value without creating too much pressure. That number is easier to feed, easier to house, easier to protect, and easier to learn from. Some families can grow to 6 or 8 later, after the routine feels stable. But starting with 12, 15, or 20 chickens because the chicks were cute is one of the fastest ways to turn excitement into stress. More birds do not make you more self-reliant if your land and routine cannot carry them. The second reason chickens are a strong first animal is that they sit in the middle of the beginner learning curve. Compost worms are easier. They are quiet, cheap, and useful for the garden. But they do not give your family direct food in the same way. They build soil, which is valuable, but they do not put eggs on the counter. Quail are faster. They mature quickly, take little space, and can produce eggs sooner than chickens. But they teach fewer parts of the homestead at once. They are excellent small livestock, but they do not connect as naturally with garden cleanup, compost work, manure management, and outdoor routines for many beginners. Rabbits are efficient. They can produce a lot of meat in a small space, and their manure is excellent for the garden. But not every family is ready to start with a meat animal. For some beginners, that decision is too big for the first step. Chickens are different because they sit between all of those options. They give direct food through eggs. They teach daily care. They create manure. They connect to compost. They can help with garden cleanup. They expose you to feed planning, predator protection, and animal behavior without jumping straight into larger livestock. That is why chickens are often the best first animal, not because they are the easiest in every way, but because they teach the most useful foundation without asking too much too soon. The third reason chickens belong first is manure. This is the part many beginners ignore, but it may be one of the biggest reasons chickens matter on 1 acre. Chickens do not just give eggs. They give fertility. Every day, they create manure that can help feed the garden later. But manure is only valuable if you know what to do with it. If you put chickens in a small wet run with no bedding plan, the manure becomes smell, mud, flies, and frustration. If you scrape it into a random pile and never manage it, it becomes another chore. If you add too much fresh chicken manure directly to garden beds, it can be too strong for plants. But if you use bedding and compost, the whole story changes. Deep litter is one of the easiest methods for beginners to understand. You keep carbon-rich bedding under the flock, like wood shavings, dry leaves, straw, or another safe dry material. The chickens scratch through it. The manure mixes into it. The carbon absorbs moisture. Over time, that material becomes the beginning of compost. This does not mean you ignore the co-op. It means you manage the bedding before it becomes a problem. You add dry material when it gets damp. You keep waterers from spilling. You keep air moving. You clean out when needed. Then that used bedding can move to a compost pile and eventually return to the garden. That is where chickens start to earn their place. Eggs come into the kitchen. Safe kitchen scraps go out to the chickens. Manure and bedding go to compost. Compost goes to the garden. The garden feeds the family and sends waste back to the flock. That loop does not need to be perfect in year one. But even a simple version changes how you see chickens. They are no longer just egg machines. They become part of your soil building plan. And on 1 acre, soil matters. Every small space has to do more than one job. If your chickens only eat feed and give eggs, they are helpful. But if they also process some safe kitchen scraps, make compost material, control some pests, and support the garden, they become much more valuable. The fourth reason chickens are a good first animal is their connection to the garden. A 1-acre homestead does not work best when everything is separate. The garden in one corner, the chickens in another, the compost somewhere far away, the feed stored in a random shed. That creates extra steps, and extra steps are where beginners burn out. Chickens work best when they are close enough to be useful, but controlled enough not to destroy things. This is the balance. Chickens can help clean up old garden beds. They can scratch through spent plants after harvest. They can eat bugs and weed seeds. They can turn leaves and bedding. They can work a compost pile like tiny machines. But they can also ruin a young garden in one afternoon. They will scratch up mulch. They will dig around seedlings. They will peck tomatoes. They will dust bathe in soft soil right where you planted carrots. So the recommendation is not simply, free range your chickens. Free range sounds beautiful, and in the right place, it can work, but on small land, uncontrolled free ranging can create new problems. Predator losses, garden damage, droppings on porches, scratching in flower beds, neighbor issues. A beginner usually does better with control. That might mean a secure run. It might mean rotating them through fenced sections. It might mean letting them into the garden only after harvest. It might mean using a chicken tractor. It might mean giving them compost material in their run instead of letting them roam everywhere. The point is simple. Chickens need a place to work, but not unlimited access to ruin everything. And this should feel encouraging, not overwhelming. You do not need fancy mobile fencing from day one. You do not need a perfect rotational grazing plan. You can begin with one good co-op, one safe run, and one compost pile. Then, as you learn, you can improve. Small and steady beats big and chaotic. The fifth reason chickens are valuable is that they reveal the truth about your land. They will show you where water collects after rain. They will show you where predators travel. They will show you whether your daily schedule can handle animal care. They will show you whether your feed storage is rodent-proof. They will show you whether your garden plan and animal plan are helping each other or fighting each other. This is why chickens are such a good first teacher. A cow is too big of a lesson for many beginners. Goats are too clever and too demanding for some first-year homesteaders. Pigs can reshape land faster than you expect. Bees require a different kind of confidence. Rabbits are efficient, but they ask you to think clearly about breeding and meat. Chickens are simple enough to start, but honest enough to expose weak points. If your co-op is hard to clean, chickens will show you. If your waterer spills too much, they will show you. If your run has no shade, they will show you. If you bought too many birds, they will show you through feed cost, smell, stress, and crowding. The beginner who pays attention learns quickly. The beginner who ignores those signs starts blaming the animal. But the chicken is usually not the problem. The management is. This is why the first chicken plan should be boring. Boring is good. Boring means the birds are safe at night. Water is easy to refill. Feed is dry. Bedding is not soaked. Manure has somewhere to go. The flock size matches the person caring for it. A beautiful homestead is nice. A boring, functional first flock is better. The sixth reason chickens work so well is that they build confidence. A lot of people dream about homesteading because they want food security. They want to rely less on the grocery store. They want their children to know where food comes from. They want their land to produce something real. But the dream can feel heavy when you try to do everything at once. A garden, a flock, rabbits, ducks, bees, fruit trees, compost, feed crops, fencing, food preservation. It all sounds good, but when it all arrives in the same season, it can crush a beginner. Chickens give you a smaller doorway. You learn to care for a living food source. You collect eggs. You manage bedding. You build compost. You notice predator pressure. You learn that food production is not just about output. It is about routine, timing, and small decisions repeated well. And once that first flock feels normal, the next step becomes clearer. Not faster. Clearer. That matters because the goal is not to collect animals. The goal is to build a homestead that actually helps feed your family without overwhelming you. The biggest beginner mistake with chickens is not choosing chickens. It is buying chickens before preparing the basics. That mistake usually starts with excitement. Someone sees chicks at the feed store. They are tiny. They are cheap. They are adorable. The person thinks, we have 1 acre. We can handle chickens. So they bring home more birds than they planned. At first, it feels good. The chicks are in a brooder. The family is excited. Everyone checks on them. The dream feels alive. Then the chicks grow. Suddenly, the co-op is not ready. The online co-op is smaller than expected. The run gets muddy. The waterer spills. The feed bag attracts mice. The birds start eating more. The garden is not protected. A predator tests the fence. The manure starts piling up. Now the beginner is not building confidence anymore. They are reacting every day. That is the wrong feeling. A good first animal should make you steadier, not panicked. The second mistake is starting with too many birds. This is very common because chicks feel small when you buy them. But a chick becomes a full-size hen. A full-size hen eats, drinks, scratches, roosts, and creates manure every day. 4 to 6 hens can feel manageable. 12 hens can feel like a lot if you are still learning. 20 hens can become a problem fast if the infrastructure is weak. The third mistake is thinking free range means free feed. Chickens can forage. They can eat bugs, grass, seeds, weeds, safe kitchen scraps, and compost life. But they are not wild birds living in a forest ecosystem. A laying hen is producing eggs, and that requires nutrition. If you underfeed chickens, the flock will tell you. Egg production drops. Birds get stressed. Feathers look rough. They may start fighting or picking. A good homestead does not starve animals to save money. It supports animals in a smarter way. That is a different mindset. The fourth mistake is ignoring predator protection. On a 1-acre property, predators do not care that you are a beginner. Raccoons, foxes, dogs, hawks, snakes, and other animals only see opportunity. A weak co-op is not a small problem. It is an invitation. Predator protection should be ready before the birds arrive. Strong latches, secure wire, covered weak spots, a safe place to roost. No easy gaps, no loose doors that a raccoon can open. The fifth mistake is having no manure plan. People talk about eggs because eggs are exciting. But manure arrives before eggs. If you do not know where the manure and bedding will go, chickens become dirty fast. This is why even a simple compost corner matters. It does not need to be fancy. It can be a basic pile or bin where used bedding, leaves, and manure can break down over time. What matters is that you know where it goes before the co-op needs cleaning. That one decision turns waste into fertility. So here is the practical recommendation. For many beginners, 4 to 6 laying hens is a safer starting point. Some families can grow to 6 to 8 later, after the system feels stable. That small flock can give real food value without overwhelming your land, your schedule, or your budget. It gives you enough eggs to feel the reward. It gives you enough manure to start composting. It gives you enough daily routine to learn animal care. But it does not bury you under feed bills and chores before you understand what you are doing. Before the birds arrive, build the basics. You need a secure co-op. Not fancy, but safe. The birds need protection at night, enough ventilation, dry bedding, and roosting space. You need a protected run. It should give them room to scratch, move, dust bathe, and act like chickens without destroying the whole property. You need clean water that is easy to refill. If water is annoying to manage, you will feel that annoyance every day. You need dry bedding. Dry bedding is one of the simplest ways to control smell, moisture, and manure. You need feed storage. Keep feed dry and protected from rodents. You need a compost plan. Not a perfect compost system. Just a clear place where used bedding and manure can become something useful instead of becoming a mess. You need a limit. This may be the most important part. Decide your flock size before you go shopping. Do not let cute chicks at the feed store make the decision for you. And you need patience. Start with chickens, but do not expect chickens to carry the whole homestead. They are the first step. They are not the entire food security plan. Over time, your chickens can connect with the garden. They can help process safe kitchen scraps. They can build compost. They can clean up after harvest. They can teach your family the rhythm of animal care. But let the flock grow with your skill. Do not rush to prove that your 1 acre can do everything in the first season. Let it prove one thing first: that your family can care for a small flock well. That is enough. If you are standing at the beginning of your homestead journey, chickens are probably the best first animal to consider. Not because they are perfect, not because they are free, not because they can feed your family by themselves. They are valuable because they teach the foundation: eggs, routine, feed planning, predator protection, manure, compost, garden connection. They help you understand the difference between owning animals and building a homestead. So start simple. Start with enough, not too much. You do not need a perfect homestead, but you do need the basics in place. For many families, that means 4 to 6 laying hens, a safe co-op, a protected run, clean water, dry bedding, feed storage, and a compost plan. Do not measure success by how many animals you can add. Measure it by how well each animal fits. Choosing the right first animal is only the beginning. The real work is building the whole homestead in the right order. If you want to keep building a practical food-producing homestead on small land, subscribe to Small Land Homestead.